Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
Seems like you don't take your own advice. It was a stupid move you sneaking in here like this.
We both know that you can't shoot a government agent and live.
True, but the government agent be dead before I would. Okay, Abigail, but knock next time.
You're smarter than you look.
You're lucky this is a new shirt. You got me coming all the way out here. Now tell me what you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, on this 4th of July holiday, we'll be able to gather three outstanding, talented gentlemen as our guests. The first guest is a man who's been out there through ups and downs. He came out on top. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome actor, comedian, and homeless expert, Donald Whitehead Jr. Donald, thank you so much for joining us here today, and welcome to us on our 245th birthday of America.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today.
Gotcha. I've seen your resume, and wow, look at the thing that you've done. The video clip that we just showed is one of the nearly a dozen films that you've been in. This one was called the Witness Protection Program. Tell us how you got that film.
So that film came from a local actor who actually coincidentally was a part of the Homeless Service Network in Orlando, Florida, and I basically got the call from my representation, and I was originally going to do the lead in that particular production, but just couldn't come to an agreement, so I did a guest role. Gotcha. And so just happened by audition, basically.
Gotcha. Now you went to school at the City College of Chicago, the University of Cincinnati, and the University of Ohio. So you got what we call education, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I certainly spent the time in the classroom. So
that's for sure. You had a few jobs, including service as a journalist in the United States Navy. Go Navy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure. Now you became a stand-up comedian. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. My stand-up career was over the course of probably 10 years. And I've headlined a few places, worked with a lot of really talented comedians, Monique and Cedric the Entertainer, just to name a couple. Have done a ton of guest host and feature acts all across the country. Was Comedian of the Year, runner-up in Baltimore, and also in Cincinnati. So enjoyed that quite a bit. It really is a great outlet for any of the frustrations you might have, and really gives you a chance to kind of express your thoughts in a humorous way that people can sometimes accept.
You're a speaker. You even wrote a book called Most Unlikely to Succeed in February of 2011, which chronicles one man's journey through poverty, addiction, and homelessness. That one man was you, sir. Can you please tell us about it?
Oh, sure. So that book is a basically a memoir. My life has gone through certainly ups and downs. Would not give justice to my experience from being, most likely to succeed in high school and a high school athlete with scholarships from around the country to a naval career that actually kind of resulted in what I took home with me was not only the experience, but actually the disease of addiction. And so just kind of was lost for about 5 years, to the point where I actually became homeless at one point, and, turned it around and, have made the movies as you talked about, have written a book, have met several presidents, have spoken at the UN, have received an Emmy. It's right behind me over my shoulder. So life has kind of come full circle, and the book is just a memoir describing, all of those ups and downs.
Got you. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, Donald was announced as the new director of the National Coalition for Homeless. Wow. What made you take that job, sir?
Well, actually, this is the second time around for me. I had that job back in 2002 and left it because I wanted to be my own boss, to be honest, and started a consulting company and have done consulting work at different locations throughout different cities for the past, at this time, almost 17 years. And have still worked in the homeless industry as an advocate on boards and doing the consulting. But I was approached by the board of directors of NCH to actually the idea of coming back in, and I accepted and have not regretted 1 second of it. It's amazing work. You get to really change people's lives. And you get to give back, especially in my case, what was given to me. So I've enjoyed every minute of it. We've had some really phenomenal success this year and just launched a national campaign that we hope ends homelessness for good in America.
Got you. Now, this is America. People said, how come homeless is the most economic environment that we have in the world like this? How could this happen? What do you tell them?
Well, it's not a matter of resources, of course. We're the richest country in the history of the world.
Yes.
It comes down to priorities. Our elected officials would rather continue to support those that support them, the lobbyists, the multinational corporations, instead of really doing the real work that needs to be done to help people lift themselves up out of poverty. The two biggest causes are the lack of affordable housing, which we can create, and poverty, which we can actually address by paying people livable wages, making sure that people have adequate daycare and all of the other issues they may need to go through life. But really, it comes down to priorities. We could end this tomorrow if we really decided to.
I wish they would do that. I wish for a lot of people, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, if you hear some of the stories, some of the horrendous accounts that you get from people living on the street, LA,
yes.
Which I know you frequent, is a place where it's almost unbelievable how bad the conditions are. But again, it's a solvable situation. And that's what really is the most distressing part of it, that it's solvable. But we haven't chosen to do that.
Well, I must most sincerely thank you for being here today. May God bless and keep you in what you're doing. Thank you very, very much.
And thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Whitehead Jr. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. And the question is, if you have a product, a service, or an upcoming event that you'd like to see announced on this program, please give us a call at 323-533-1036. That's 323-533-1036. Our prices are very affordable. I want to thank you. Roll it, Tony.
It's a Sam Smith and Disclosure on 94.7 The Wave. I thought that I might want to do TV news, and I got a little taste of that in school, and I hated it. 800-520-9283. 800-520-WAVE. Here's Mary J.
Yo, Puff, I don't think they're ready for this.
I could get in here as early as 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon and not leave until 10.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is a fellow that I've known for a long, long time. He's a broadcaster who's been around many stations in this country and all around the world. How do you describe him? Tall, lean, handsome, suave, and debonair. But the smoothest, I say again, I see him over there, the smoothest voice in broadcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, he's got over 30 years in this business. Please welcome Frankie Ross. Frankie, greetings and welcome to the Actor's Choice, my friend, on this 245th birthday of America.
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
All right, brother. I like that background.
Yeah, everything you said, that was a long time ago.
Can fool me. You haven't changed a bit as long as I've known you. So how did I describe the way I described you? Was that tall, lean, and all that good stuff?
Well, the lean and tall, that part you got right.
Yeah.
I don't know about suave.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I've worked with Frankie on an LA station here in town, KGLH, Stevie Wonder station. He was our program director. Yeah, it was great to work with. It was a lot of fun. He's always been a lot of fun working around him. So tell us, where were you born, sir, and where were you raised at?
Right here in LA.
LA?
Right here in Los Angeles.
All right. Okay.
Right here in Los Angeles. Ran the streets, LA, South Central, Los Angeles.
Huh.
Born and raised. That's right.
And you went to a few schools here in LA, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Of course, the elementary school, junior high school, Henry Clay, Gompers. I remember I went to Gompers because they had a great music program, because they recruited from Gompers if you wanted to march in Locke High's band. At the time, Locke had the baddest band to me in the world.
Gotcha.
So if it was good enough for Patrice Rushen, it was good enough for me.
You hear that voice, ladies and gentlemen? Do you hear that voice? My goodness, love it, love it. I call it a blessing from God. I call it a blessing. When did you first get the feeling of being a broadcaster, sir?
Ron, I've always been into music, because I played, of course, in junior high school. So music was always my thing. And then I think when it had to be it was in the 70s, of course.
Right.
When I graduated from high school and was in college, and I started out as a journalism major.
Oh, okay.
And really got into photojournalism. I thought I wanted to be a photographer.
Oh, Joe, yes.
Yeah. So the way I am, I said, well, I want to be a journalist. I want to write the stories, tell the stories, but then I couldn't get anybody to do my photos. So of course I started doing it myself, learned my way around the dark room, stacked my little coins and bought myself a camera and started shooting pictures myself. And I really got into photography. But I never really forgot about music. So I think in the 70s, in the mid late 70s, music just started evolving and changing and the textures and styles and the flavors. And then of course, mixing was introduced in LA to by a guy named Frankie Crocker.
That's right.
And I remember the first time I heard two records blending together, it freaked me out. Like, what is this? This is the baddest thing I'd ever heard in my life. And so that put me on the path, really. And I switched up and started looking into radio, started calling radio stations. One of the first people that would even talk to me was Lee Bailey.
Oh, yes, Radioscope.
Yeah, and he was at Cute 102, and he was the one that put the bug in my ear to say, he said, hey, man, why don't you consider doing an internship? Which back then, we didn't know anything about internships. So I remember calling the radio station probably for about maybe 2 or 3 months until I got a lady on the phone named Rochelle Spencer. And I just got into a conversation with her over the phone. So she just said, hey, why don't you just come down here? And that kind of put me on the path. And I got to be around guys like Benny Martinez and Lucky Pierre and who else? That's where I met Al Ramirez, who was a great production man back then. They used to call him Al the Blade Ramirez.
Yes.
And Al taught me how to do production, taught me how to get my way around the production room and how to use and how to edit tape. That was back then. It was, of course, it was a China marker and a razor blade. So, as a matter of fact, Al did my first demo. He did my very first demo, which got me my very first gig up in Reno. And that kind of put me on the path after that. And they all told me the same thing. You got to pay your dues. You got to pay your dues. You got to pay your dues. And they told me how important it was having a first-class engineering license. So I checked into not one, but 2 broadcasting schools. I don't know how I did this. I was going to college, 2 broadcasting schools, and working at the same time. So I had no time for anything. I never slept, kind of like now. And that put me on the path. Yeah.
Let's stop for a moment and tell folks about learning the skills of a broadcaster. I mean, you got the voice. I call it a gift from God, but you got to have more than just a voice, right?
Yeah, you have to be determined and dedicated. You have to want to do this,
Yes.
and and I didn't do it for. I didn't get into this for the money. I wasn't trying to be famous. I just thought this would be a cool way to earn a living. And in the beginning, of course, was a struggle, living at or below the poverty level. But I didn't care. I remember my first paycheck. I think it was like, I don't know, it had to be maybe $120 or something. So it certainly wasn't the money. And it stayed that way for a few years, but I didn't care. I would move to a market if they paid me an extra $50 because it was about the experience. I didn't care about the music. So, the first few stations I worked for, the first couple stations were all pop stations and top 40 CHR, which is a great, because now I'm experiencing, different textures and flavors and styles of music that I got into. And then eventually I went into rock, which I loved. I got into rock. I got into a lot of stuff, stuff in the 60s and of course the 70s and the Led Zeppelins and Moby Grape, Jefferson Airplane, not Starship. So it really rounded things out for me musically, and I still love rock today. So and I tell people, don't do it just because of a certain type of music that you grew up with. Go outside your experiences. You have to go outside your comfort zone. Doesn't matter if you're the only Black person or the only Latino or the only whatever in the station, the only gay, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. You're there for the experience. You're there for the ride. And that's what I tell people, because that's what I did. And, I enjoy it. Radio, and I go to the station every day. And I was telling someone the other day, an IT guy, I said, man, this is, for me, this is church. This is my church. When I walk into that building, it's home. And it's been church for me for a long time. And it's been fun. I still enjoy it.
1985, you went to KGLH. 1989, you went to 92.3 The Beat, also here in Los Angeles, where you started Night Beat. Tell us about that, sir.
Night Beat was something that was a creation. Liz Kiley, who was the operations manager, she used to be at Coast, and they were struggling with Night Beat. I was doing afternoons when they hired me, and I remember walking into her office because that was the one day part they were struggling with. They didn't know what to do with it, and I said, let me take a shot at it. Let me do it, because I'd never done it before, which was nothing but the old Quiet Storm that Melvin Lindsay created in DC and just rebranded. And I'd never done it before, but I said to her, I'll do it if you just let me do it my way. That's the only thing I ask. And do what you want, whatever you want to do. We don't care. Just make it work. So I did. And being from LA, knowing what people want to hear, and putting myself in their position at night, I played what I thought that people would like to hear, a mixture of Motown stuff that wasn't being played again, Smokey Robinson, Love I Saw in You Is Just a Mirage, records like that. And they gave me the freedom to also break music. So groups like Jodeci, that this record company was struggling with. Those groups, I was able to break those records, Mint Condition, and they gave me that latitude and leeway to make it happen. And it was I was having a great time. I didn't care about the ratings. And next thing I know, they're coming in, and Jamie DeCastro, who was the general manager, said, I don't know what you're doing at night. Well, whatever you're doing, it's working. Just do what you do, man. Because I didn't know that I had hours, 12 and 13 shares. And every time I go on the air and I would play this top of the hour ID that Liz and I created, the phones would just light up. They would just light up automatically. And I followed Mucho Morales back then. And he used to stand there. Yeah, he was amazed by it. He said, I just like to watch the phones. They just light up every time the top of the hour ID came on. So it was fun. It was great. And they gave me the freedom to create that and make that happen.
Gotcha. 1991, back to KGLH as a PD. You received the prestigious George Foster Peabody Award, and the station received an NAACP Image Award for the coverage of the LA riots. Remember that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
That was a rough time.
Yeah, it was.
That was a rough time. And the sad part is, and we talk about that, we make little progress and little strides here and there, but it's all relative because things have changed, but they really haven't.
Gotcha. I'd like to back up for just a moment, because when you was there at the 92.3 The Beat, they have a nice little jingle. Tony, can you put that video on for this young man?
Real World Production. We go to new 497. 92.3. 92.3.
Los Angeles.
The Beat. You check it.
Cut 1.
You have a passion and a love for music, as you just said. It's prompted you to create a company called the Group Company. Can you tell us about that?
That was a production company that I created. And I decided to expand and go outside of the box and go into the music business. I knew nothing about the record business. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a clue. But I knew that the music industry was, especially on the Black side, was going more producer driven. Because we had producers like Jimmy and Terry, of course, and Ellie and Babyface, became what they became, and I just knew that was happening. So I said, I need to find a producer if I'm going to be in the record business. But let me back up. There was an artist that walked into the radio station one day, and he looked pretty interesting, and I remember telling the security guy, "Don't let that guy leave the building before I talk to him." And it was this kid named Giorgio. So fast forward, we ended up getting his record played on a few radio stations around the country, and getting him a deal at Motown. So that was kind of my induction into the record business. And I was like a sponge. I just wanted to learn everything. So pretty much every night, all hours of the night, if you saw me, I was out. I was in some recording studio someplace, hanging out, because I had friends, I knew people, and I met some really cool people that were supportive, like Zane Giles, who was in Switch, who was a producer at the time. He's a producer, and he's doing big projects like Gladys Knight, and working with Quincy Jones, and Zane. He gave me some little nuggets of wisdom, how to do it and how to build my company. And I remember the first production that we got. And MCA said, "Okay, cool. We want these songs. Give us a budget."
Got a couple more minutes left. You came to LA from 94.7 The Wave after going to WBLS. They changed the format from smooth jazz to the current soul of Southern California.
BLS though, I don't want to skip over BLS. I can't skip over BLS. I can't run.
Oh yeah.
BLS, that was, being in New York, that was on my bucket list. And when I got to BLS in New York, that was like the mountaintop. And I was so proud to work there. And getting off, first of all, working on Park Avenue, that was, just in terms of prestige and class, that's what they were. That's what the Suttons were. And Lee Michaels gave me that opportunity. So I want to thank him for that.
Yes. Saw him over the weekend. He's doing fine in his business, doing fine.
Great.
We got just a moment or two, but what advice would you give to people who want to be in this industry? What do you tell them?
It's changed, and I don't know where it's going, but I know that at some point in time, they're trying to figure out how to merge technology with terrestrial radio, and in order for it to continue and last. And that's one component. The music is the other, of course, that drives the platform. But the two have to come together in order for it to survive. Google or some tech company is going to have to step in and maybe partner up, or there's got to be a way to extend the shelf life of this business.
Yes. A lot of people, I know they always want, as you know, I teach broadcasting over at Santa Monica College. And a lot of people come there with illusions of grandeur. And I have to tell them, pack your bags and get out of town. But my family and friends are here. Hey, take a picture of your family and friends and get out of town and come and work your way back. It takes a while.
Yeah, go. You have to go to work is wherever it takes you. Wherever it takes you. I mean, I had to leave LA and go to New York, and which I love. No regrets.
Frankie, God bless you. Always a pleasure being here with you, and really appreciate you dropping by today. Thank you. Have a good holiday, ladies and gentlemen. Frankie Rose.
Good to see you, Ron. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest has quite a story to tell about his life. This man has done a lot, and he will tell you today. Ladies and gentlemen, on America's birthday, please welcome actor, director, writer, Alfred F. Woodley. Greetings, Al, and welcome to the Actor's Choice.
Thanks for having me, Ron. How you doing today?
Sir. My pleasure. Question number one, I got to get to this one real quick because folks don't understand. Itchy feet, you understand? Where was you born, sir?
I'm a New Yorker.
A New Yorker?
USA.
Yeah, the city's so nice they named it twice. The city's so pretty. They call it New York City. And what was it? A holiday she was born on?
I was born on New Year's Day.
Ooh.
Now here's the thing. I was due on New Year's. I mean, excuse me, Christmas Day.
Okay.
Came 7 days later.
Ooh. Your father must have said, your mother probably said, shoot, income tax, by you being born as put you a whole year behind. Oh yeah. But where was you raised at, young man? Where was you raised at?
I grew up in a place called St. Nicholas Housing.
Yes, sir.
And grew up on 127th Street and 8th Avenue. So, Ron, you might know a little something about that.
Yeah, I was born in Harlem Hospital like you. I was raised in Harlem like you, and I lived in the St. Nicholas projects on 240 West 129th Street.
Yes, sir.
Come on with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Make me want to holler, throw up both my hands, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
My goodness, Harlem. Sometimes I tease people sometimes. I say, where you from, brother? I'm from New York. Oh, where you from? Oh, Manhattan. Oh, yeah, where you from? Upper Manhattan. I said, man, get to it. Where you from?
Man, where you from? Right.
Besides saying my mother, I'm also saying I come from Harlem. I'm proud to say it. I ain't ashamed.
Proud to say it.
Yeah.
Proud to say it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. When I heard, because I've heard about you from a lot of people. I looked you up, and when I saw that you was born in Harlem, I said, get that man, please get that man, do what you can do with it, jump up and down, do what you have to do, break some money out, do anything. Please get that man. You went to what school, sir, in New York?
Went to, you want me to go way back? I went to Roberto Clemente School of the Arts. And that kind of opened the doors for me in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Then I went to Stevenson High School, left Stevenson, and went to Bronx Community, then went to John Jay School of Criminal Justice.
Now, I heard a little bird tell me that you had a desire after all the education to go into the U.S. Navy. Ooh.
Yeah. So I went down to, I think it was Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
And I went and I did the first swearing.
Wow.
And the next day, I said, nah, I don't want to do this. And it's all because that night, I saw a guy in his Class A's coming out of the subway on 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, I'm about to go in tomorrow and do a swearing. And he says, don't do it. And I was like, oh, really? He says, don't do it. I took it as a sign. I didn't do it.
Instead, you went to work for the New York City Department of Correction as a corrections officer.
Yes.
Where did you work at, sir? Where did they assign you to?
I worked at Rikers Island.
Rikers Island?
Yeah, I was on Rikers Island.
The infamous. Rikers Island.
Yeah. And everything that they said about Rikers, long before I even got there, everything they said was true and then some.
Wow.
Everything they said was true and then some. But I'll tell you, it was the greatest learning experience in my adult life, to be honest. I mean, it taught me so much about people, and it wasn't just the inmates. The hardest part was dealing with your peers.
Yes.
That was the tough part, you know.
How long did you keep that job?
10 years.
10 years. That's money. That's some money coming back.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I hung in there for a minute, but I knew that there was more. There was more for me. You know, I knew I needed to do more in my life, you know. So yeah, Rikers Island.
Say it loud. So then you, with many talents and faith in yourself, decided to be an actor in the entertainment industry. So what did you do?
So I left the department and headed west. Now here's the crazy thing. All of my buddies, everybody, Al, hold on, man, hold on. What are you doing? And, you know, but I believed in me, you know what I mean? And it was time to go. It was time.
You were associated with the Solo Club. What does that mean?
The Solo Club was something that it was an elite group that you wanted to be a part of, and it was you had to audition for this, you had to sing, you had to be able to act. It was like it was actually musical theater. So, you know, learned all these wonderful songs that I still know today. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
Just great stuff, you know.
Okay. So then clear this up for me, please. Did you go west from New York, or did you stop in Atlanta, GA?
I stopped in Atlanta first.
Okay.
I stopped in Atlanta for about 2 years.
2 years, okay.
Yeah. Got involved in radio. I worked at V103.
Okay.
And at the time, we could boast being the #1 station in the city. And I went by the name of A-Train.
Go ahead, A-Train.
A-Train.
All right,
that's what people call me now.
Oh, A-Train. Yeah. You met a gentleman down there in Atlanta. Let me see. His name is Tyler Perry. That's it.
Tyler Perry, yes. Met Tyler Perry. Did a play called "A Change Is Gonna Come."
Yes.
And I'll tell you something. Now this is Tyler Perry before he's Tyler Perry that we know today.
Right.
Tyler was he was a guy who was extremely talented, very funny guy. If you think he's funny now, I mean, I can only say, knowing him on a personal basis, the guy is very, very funny. He writes very well, especially the kind of theater that he was doing. Very, very funny man. So I got a chance to tour. It was the first time I had ever gone on tour. And this is all after leaving the Department of Correction. So this was all a wonderful experience for me for the first time, you know? And so I have Tyler Perry to thank for that.
And you toured in what part of the country?
Mostly the Southeast. You know, we were all over the South. And it was something. That's all I can tell you. And it was mostly gospel. So, you know, you can imagine. I mean, it was something.
As I hear you talking now, I think to myself, what I call the 3 E's: education, exposure, and experience.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you get.
Absolutely.
What you put in, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So eventually you did come here to Los Angeles.
I did. And once I got here, Ron, I sort of hit the ground running, to be quite honest with you. Very first, I say within like week and a half, 2 weeks of being here, I got on this show called Live from LA with the comedian, Michael Collier.
Oh yes, man. Oh yes, good man.
Yeah. Michael Collier, great guy, and it was a wonderful experience. You know.
Well, you love to tell stories, as you told me. And what kind of special? Do you have any special subjects you'd like to talk about when you're doing a story as a filmmaker?
You know, here's the funny thing, Ron. A lot of people like to know about my experience working as a correction officer. Some people refer to correction officers as jail guards, prison guards, whatever.
Right.
But correction officers.
Thank you.
And when I tell these stories, I tell stories about experiences that really helped me become, and that really helped my acting, because I had a whole lot to draw from. You know what I mean? A whole lot of experiences to draw from. And let me tell you something. I'm always thankful that my life did not turn out in a way that many of the people that I got a chance to work with, the way their lives did, you know. And it's choices that we make in life, right?
Right.
We make choices.
Sure do.
And but thankfully I was able to make good choices, and I was able to help people. Gotcha. And those stories, I tell them. I have a one-man show that I did called Low Tide in the East River. And as you know, low tide, Rikers Island is in the East River. So that's what the story deals with, my life as a New York City correction officer.
You say correction, it reminds me of something my mother used to tell me all the time, and I learned this later. She said, son, you're always going to have somebody that's going to be work for us. Only two things you have to do. Number one, do as you're told. Number two, pick up your paycheck. Those people who ended up in correction centers, they didn't do that.
No.
How they got in there.
Yeah, you know, and I'm glad you said that, because Ron, you know, one of the things that I always say to folks is that, you know, if you fail to discipline your kids, then the police will, the prison warden will. And that's real.
So tell us about your Hollywood experience so far. You got 39 of acting credits right now. You got, let me see, you got all kinds of stuff working on. You got director, writer, producer, computer, editor, composer.
Like I said, you know, I've been blessed, you know. The more you work, the better you become.
Yes, sir.
And looking forward to putting my own product out there. Look, I may not want to do, right? So, but I still want my anybody to tap me on the shoulder and say, "Okay, Al, it's your turn." Next, I've written and directed. And
right on. Yeah. Now, your first IMDb role came in 1997 with the comedy horror.
And I was just coming out of. We had done that in 1995, actually. An experience, to say the least. It was, you know, it was one of those. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun, you know. From an audition and says, we got to have this guy for that. And sometimes you get the role, sometimes you don't. But when you do.
One of my favorite TV series, it was called 911. Remember 911?
That? Yes, that was fun. Oh God, I better not say. I'm not going. Aisha. I can't remember her last name, but she was in the scene with, so talented and so giving, you know, and willing to just meet.
Hey. Wilson. I'm Commander Roos. Since you
what? I never filed any complaints.
Not from say more than a few of your firefighters have your back.
As you look back from where you are today to when you went back in the old days, how do you feel?
The world, listen, Ron, the world has changed. Yeah. The world has changed right before my very eyes. Right. And, you know, sometimes we have to change with it. And we see things that are different from what we're accustomed to.
Yes.
And we have to learn how to adjust.
Gotcha. We got to get you back here. Got to get you back again.
Look, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, Ron.
Our pleasure. I want to thank you for being here today. Special thanks to a good friend of both of us, John Freeland Jr. You know John Freeland, that guy.
Yes.
He's the one who introduced me to you.
Absolutely.
Happy holiday to you, sir. And we'll get together.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Alfred F. Woodley. I want to thank our sponsors, Harvey Brahman, Photography is an Art, Ron Irwin's, Haiku, Style, Passion, Heart, Larry Buford's book To the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm agent Carla Green, and veteran actor Bob Brownstein's Actor Training School and Actor Space. And much, much thanks to our guest today, actor, comedian, homeless executive Donald Whitefield Jr., broadcaster, producer, artist manager Frankie Ross, and actor, director, writer Alfred P. Woodley. And of course, special thanks to our ever-growing worldwide audience. Be well. We'll see you next time.